Hello, my name is Lynn Haney, and in my role as a writing coach here in Guilford, I see a lot of people of all ages, some in their teens and others. I've had a woman who was 98, so I've done pretty much a range of people, and I must say I really get a kick out of helping kids with their college application essays because they're so fresh and they feel their emotions so much, and it's such a do or die time because writing this essay can be a deal breaker. Sometimes it's not. I mean, if you have lousy grades, it's not going to put you over the top. But if you're sort of in between, a well-written essay can really do a lot. This isn't to say that you can do it the night before. I have helped people on the night before, and some of the essays were certainly passable. In fact, I'd say they were all passable. But you do get slip-ups that you wouldn't get if you had taken some time. So it is a good idea to start early. And also, tip number one is to brainstorm. I know you've heard that, but really heighten your awareness of an idea that is uniquely you that would work in an essay. It can be very intimidating because you'll read about these rich kids who go helicopter skiing in Greenland and write about it, and they had a fascinating time the last time they were in Chile, and you think to yourself, well, I really can't come up with something like that. But in your own experience of your worldview, you can come up with some interesting ideas. A number of students go on mission trips, and these mission trips are good. But the problem is that the people who are reading the essays at colleges have had mission trips up the yin-yang. This is not to say that you should reject the idea. I'm just using it as an example. But what you need to show is that it's not just you're doing a photo's guide of Ecuador, that you're talking about your particular experience in that particular place. I had a student who wrote about going and working in an orphanage in Ethiopia, and the essay definitely worked. A reason it worked was that she didn't go with a group. She looked up orphanages in Ethiopia, and she made her own plans to go there. She raised some of the money, and she took off. Then she not only did that, but developed the idea of being an independent, compassionate person within the body of the essay. Which brings the next tip, which is, at the onset, think about structure. Structure matters. This is another way that you can get help from the internet or just from opening a book. There are marvelous books at libraries on writing your college essay. And so you want to have, the introduction, the body of the essay, and the ending. Try to keep that in the back of your mind, though, and really plumb your depth about what you want to say. Once you have your idea down, you have to then match it to your personality. It's a good idea, if you can, to inject some wit, because so many of these essays are boring that just a little levity covers a multitude of sins. Now, this isn't to say that you should be funny, ha-ha. That only works if you are the certified class clown and you've been it for years and everybody tells you you're funny and maybe you do stand up on weekends. I'd say go with it. But for most of us, just having short, clipped remarks that bring a smile to the face, that's a better idea. Okay, now, honesty. This is something that's so important because in school, often you're writing those papers to satisfy your teachers, and they are fairly predictable. And also they may not be about the you that's really you. And that's what colleges want to know. For all your shortcomings, this isn't to say that you get into a whine or that you spotlight your faults, but you have to say, this is what I'm about and this is what I really want. Okay, I'm a band nerd. That's who I am. Take it and run with it. Now let's get to providing details. In order to set a scene, I want you to think about your essay as telling a story. And supposing that you're sitting around a campfire and you want your story to be the best story. So you use a lot of literary techniques. You use some dialogue, you use suspense, you have hooks in the story so people want to keep reading. Put that in your essay. That's the way an essay becomes vivid. Another way is with verbs. Just look at the sentences you're constructing and figure out how you can boost it up a notch with more active verbs, and you'll be surprised how much better it gets. Now, we're talking about an essay that's only 500 words long. You can go 600, 650, but it reminds me of that I used to write book reviews for Publishers Weekly, and the editor told me that they were only supposed to be one long paragraph long. And she said the only exception would be if Jesus Christ came back to earth again, we would give him 2 paragraphs on his memoir. So with, with that kind of mandate, it's something like that with the length of these essays that you cannot run on. And you want to make sure on your first draft to really try to do it as much as you can on yourself. This is where you may be going to a college counselor or you may be seeing a writing coach, but what you want to do is have your ideas gel somewhat by yourself, and then after you finish this first draft, that's the time to let people read it. And what you want to do, preferably, is to have people who know something about writing, such as your teacher at school, to read it over, because they know what the people in the college admissions committees are looking for, and they can flag things, and that's what a professional can do. But there also is this gut reaction. So, you know, flag down the cable guy or the man who comes to take the garbage away and say, what do you think of this idea? That's can be a very good idea, because sometimes that untutored person in terms of writing will say, yeah, but you know, that third paragraph is snoozeville and it doesn't fit with the rest of it. And that's a gem of good advice. Something that does work very well, and I've seen this over and over again, and that's showing your smarts without being arrogant, showing your enthusiasm about something that may not, you know, capture the imagination of a lot of other people, but it happens to be your thing. I once helped a student who was writing about a physics competition, and this isn't something that is particularly along my line, but I have to say I got caught up in it, and I think I put some of my best work into helping him because I could see what he was doing, and it was so well done. I had another student who wrote about a boat he was building, and this was someone who had never been good at English classes, really didn't enjoy that sort of thing, but he did. I said, what do you like? And he said, oh, I just love the boat building course at Guilford High School. And I said, tell me about it. Well, this was almost a model of an excellent essay, because in talking about building the boat, he was telling about himself, that he is a precise person, a person who plans things, but it was also a compassionate person, because some of the other kids' boats were sinking, and he was giving them advice on how to make their boat float. The thing to remember about this is that you don't have to be the ordained class writer that people said, oh, he's going to win a Pulitzer Prize. Forget it. Write about what really makes you go, and it will be bound to be a good essay. Also, I would say to be provocative. And I'll give you an example from my son Alexander. When he was in school, he was invited to go to West Point for a tryout week. They thought that he had the potential to be a soldier. I could not be more surprised. I knew he had a potential to be a writer and a cut-up and a pain in the duff sometimes, but never somebody to safeguard our country. But I thought, I said to him, it's a week out of town. Go and see what you think of it. Well, he arrived at West Point and looked at all the tanks and all the people with marvelous posture and clear-cut goals, and he knew it wasn't for him. But he saw the humor in it if someone like him ever went to West Point and the havoc they could cause, and he wrote his essay along those lines, and it turned out to be very funny, and it got him into the college he wanted to go to. So don't be afraid to be a contrarian, is what I'm saying about that. And also, take something from your family life. This is probably the easiest to do, because when you're 16, 17, and 18 years old, you don't really know a lot. I mean, you know, your chances at world travel, fighting in wars, saving babies from burning buildings, they haven't happened yet. You may think that writing this essay is so arduous, and it is. There's no question about that. It can be easier, particularly if you plan in advance and you take down notes, but it's still not going to be a walk in the park. The thing, though, is that you learn wonderful tools that are going to help you not only in your senior year and in writing papers in college, but also in life when you have a job and you're asked to write a personal statement. This will come back to you, these tools that you've learned. So as you embark on your senior year, I say, good luck, and it's the seat of the pants to the seat of the chair. Thank you.